And we're live on YouTube. Thank you very much.
You're seeing it? Oh, yeah, there it is. All right.
Start that music.
Kick it.
Every week we open wide the virtual stage where ideas spark and wisdom fills the page. From the UK to the land of maple trees, John and Mike bring clarity with ease. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine, your message taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine, your message taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. Thank you for joining us, we're glad you're here. Together we grow, it's loud and clear. On Zoom we connect, we learn, we grow. Welcome my friend, enjoy the show. To breakout rooms with flair, we've got the tools and we're ready to share. Guest experts drop in, bringing gold each time, with insights and tricks to help you climb. Can't make it live, we've got you still on YouTube and LinkedIn. We're giving that thrill, so tune in later or catch us next round. Either way, your success is where we're bound. Thank you for joining us, we're glad you're here. Together we grow, it's loud and clear. On Zoom we connect, we learn, we glow. Welcome my friend, enjoy the show. And make it live, we've got you still. On YouTube and LinkedIn, we're giving that thrill. So tune in later or catch us next round. Either way, your success is where we're bound. Now take the spotlight, the stage is yours. Bring your message through virtual doors. Each week we gather, and now you know you're not alone, so let it flow. Thank you for joining us, now go and shine. Share what you've learned, your voice, your time. With Lord Zoom Live, your power will grow. It's time to build your own show.
Hello. Welcome on. How are you? Merry. Oh, let's get rid of this overlay first. Didn't find a Christmas jumper in the Zoom marketplace. Maybe next year. Maybe next year. But if not, I have a very good supplier of jumpers in the UK, and I hope you do around the world. Happy Winterval, whatever it is. We could run a poll because I think I've written about 7 versions of this presentation. Yes, only 7, Mike. That doesn't seem like a lot, does it really? For me, usually I come up with an idea and then I just come up with loads of variations. Then I put them all into AI, which is the villain of tonight's piece. And we go from there. Did you have any ideas, my friend, on what you thought we were going to do tonight?
I did not. I let the surprises come from you, Lord Zoom.
That is a lovely way of throwing the ball back to me. Thank you very much. I take that as a, I don't know what the equivalent is on NFL, but in footy, that's a back pass. That's a kick back to the goalie when he's not looking, when he's going to have his bottle, his quick drink before the ball comes back. In fact, when we talk about footy in the UK, I should talk about the girls playing footy, not the boys, because they're much more successful than the boys. I am here in my dungeon of technology. I put the green screen up just to show you I've got one, but more importantly, to hide all the rubbish behind. And we have realized, unfortunately, due to the design of this property, my doorway looks straight in towards the bathroom. Probably not the best view for a background. So we've erected the green screen and we've put up some Christmas trees. So in tonight's show, I have, as you've probably noticed already, rewritten what I'm going to talk about many times. Although that's not technically true. It was more trying to get the context of what we were going to talk about in the right way. And so what we want to talk about, if I may, and the attendees in Zoom, put your chat in and hopefully we'll pick that up. If you're in the webinar with us now, then you're welcome to put the chat in there as well. Special welcome to Ray. Watch out, Ray. We may call you on stage for your own comments and feedback at some point. You have been warned. I am really ridiculously excited about 2026. I am ridiculously excited about 2026. Have I said that enough? No, because I am ridiculously excited about 2026, and I have now performed the rule of three, mentioning it 3 times. And I have created some slides for you, which I'm going to let Mike control for us, because he is the expert at Production Studio. And let's see if I can get these slides to work. And even as I've rewritten this presentation so many times, can I actually remember from my notes what I'm supposed to say on which slide in the final version that I wrote about 2 hours ago? I think that this year there has been started a battle, almost Star Wars-esque, because of AI. You have 2 options in this world, I believe. One is to use AI as a tool to make your world better. And the other way, the dark side, is to give up to AI completely and just ask it to do everything for you. If you turn to the dark side, you will become a mediocre person, because AI only really knows what's available on the internet, what's available generally, what the general consensus is. And if you're an expert in any way, shape or form, oh, I hope that you know more than the average person. After all, if you don't know more than the average person, how can you ever claim to be an expert? So, my faith now is in you to use AI to enhance your world. And the good news is, I think those guys at Zoom are probably thinking the same. They probably put it in a better, more technical context than I do, but I am sure they're doing the same. And I'm wondering how amazing the world can be, because I've got one computer screen here and I just can't believe the number of apps and tools that I can run at the same time in the middle of a Zoom event. When I remember when I started using Zoom when COVID struck, I had a video production program called vMix. a PC that was a 1080 Ti, so it was top of the range for that year or the year before. Yes, it was top of the range for that year. There wasn't any graphics card better than it from a vMix point of view. A 1080 Ti was the best you could run on vMix, which is video production software. And that video production software was running with Zoom. And I couldn't put anything else on the computer. I was running a 3-day event. And by the time I was getting to sort of the 8th or 9th hour, that PC, I would press a button to change something, and I'd have to wait 4 or 5 seconds for the computer to come back and catch up with me. Things were strained that much. And yet I was using a top of the range PC for that time. Wow, has things changed? And I think it's only changed for a warm-up for what's going to happen next year. Obviously, the chat doesn't really want to make any comments, do they? Does anyone mind to make a comment about the image I have on the screen? You know, anyone notice anything handy about the person? No? 3 arms. Thank you, Samantha. That's it. This is why I say to you, don't go to the dark side. The dark side cannot be trusted. The dark side does not understand and will take you into holes of pity. The AI has drawn me a world that I asked for and given the guy 3 arms, 3 hands. Samantha's awake. Samantha's not on the dark side. That's good to know. So I did get a corrected version out of it, although it now doesn't really know how to hold a microphone. But this is the point. This is my concern about going to the dark side. It's not a perfect world. It's not a world that works. And it will reflect upon you. When you do your presentations, you are the one looking like a ninny. Don't know if that word translates around the world. You will look stupid. Zoom itself, I think, is a fantastic and professional world. It just looks beautiful. Oh yeah, when you set it up properly and don't just accept that it works like it did 5 years ago, which unfortunately too many people do. Zoom has just had its big upgrade. We're now on 6.7. Are we all going to do this for the rest of the year? Oh, I think so. We're on Zoom 6.7, and I'm still waiting for one of my godchild to, she's an adult now, to explain to me what all this 6.7 is. But never mind. We are now in version 6.7. And Zoom meetings, to me, just look beautiful. You can change the color scheme around your program, so you can be in light mode or dark mode, or you can have those color modes to make your spice it up, make it look a bit more interesting. I've got a funny hue of blue, I think, on mine at the moment, and it looks nice. You can have a background color, so where there are not windows or screens, there is a nice background image. You can put in meeting notes. You can create a Zoom doc. You can create a whiteboard, and you can load them into the meeting so that they are there when the meeting starts. It is beautiful. You can create Zoom backgrounds. You can also create Zoom avatars. Now, I could fib to you and tell you that this table is a Zoom avatar because I've got it as a Zoom avatar as well. So just in Zoom meetings, I can have a background. Now I can take advantage of a green screen, which means it is less likely my fingers will disappear when I'm flapping them around. But if you have a simple background like I have here, then the chances of it disappearing are reduced greatly. So that is the thing about using the virtual background system. Don't have a complicated background so Zoom can't tell what's foreground and background. Have something simple. Have a simple color, a simple curtain or something. And then you can have things overlaid in front as well. And it all looks very nice and professional. You can have your name and your job title and things like that across the front. You can make Zoom meetings look really professional if you use the features that Zoom has been rolling out for you. If you don't, no wonder you complain about the monthly subscription if you don't use the features. I mean, it's like buying a Ferrari and not knowing how to drive it properly and staying in first gear. It doesn't work anymore, that joke, because they're all automatic. But you know what I mean? Not using the car properly. You don't know how to turn the lights on, so you don't drive it at night. You're too scared to turn right, so you drive everywhere by turning left. Zoom meeting looks beautiful. Zoom events is just another level now. These are the top features that I love about it. The first thing is the engagement from Zoom events is amazing because we have customizable emails. Oh, and that's before we even talk about integration with other products to create workflows from your CRM. The events portal has emails in there which are beautiful. You can customize them, make them look fantastic, and make them look different for each of your events. You can have a different flow. You've got the Events Hub. You can upload content into the Events Hub, which you can use during events. The Events Hub is effectively your storage space for your webinars. You've also, of course, got your own personal hub for your own personal meetings. The Events Hub is a similar type of thing, but for your events. There we are, Mike. I think I managed to get around the duplicity of the two hubs and make it sound like it was planned. That's fantastic, because we're sure that it was planned by Zoom. It's just we have to get on the same wavelength. The events page looks fantastic. And again, you can customize it. The Events Hub you can customize. The events page you can customize. It all looks really professional. And I dare I say it, I think it looks more professional than any of the other tools out there. In fact, the only people that can make event pages look better than the Events Hub is if you invest in one of these complicated page builders and then spend ages and ages building pages for them, which you can do, by the way. Oh, and if you want to do it in WordPress, I've got a WordPress plugin next year, which will allow you to put your events into WordPress. Just a quick plug there. See how many plugs I can get in by the end of today. What else have we got? Oh, yes, content after the event. No longer is a Zoom event done, dusted, and forgotten. Because now we can use the Content Hub to make it available on demand. We could have it repeat as a recorded version on Simulive, maybe. We could play around with the content. We can use the AI to analyze the content. And of course, the AI in this case is not the dark side AI, because this is AI built on the content that we've delivered. That's more useful, more insightful, and a more productive version of using AI. It's taking our presentations and giving us summaries and giving us content. We can chop it up in clips. And plug number 2, I'm keeping score. I am running next year a 100 webinar challenge. And the whole idea of the 100 webinar challenge is for you not to think of your life as one webinar, but to think of it as a succession of webinars. Now, the webinars might not all be the same. They might be the same subject. They might be versions of the same webinar, but it's a completely different world when you think of doing a succession of things than just one. There's more planning, yes, but there's a bigger payback, because once you've got one idea and then you can repeat that over time. And thank you, Ray, for your nice comment. I find that you can just keep doing them. 80% of what we do on Lord Zoom Live is a duplicate of what we did before, which is good for Mike because our production studio set is pretty much the same every single time. So he knows what he's got available to pull himself in, pull me in, to pull in screen shares, etc., etc. We can duplicate events, or we can say them as a template, and then you've got a selection of events you can work from. Personally, I go from duplicate because then as I upgrade the event content, when I duplicate, I get the new version. Whereas if I was going to have a fixed version of how something would go, I would probably say that's a template. And then we have to pay homage to the tool that we are using now, which is Production Studio. Production Studio is a simple to use, easy to set up, but powerful because it looks good. A content management system for the screen. We can set layouts and designs of screenshots that we want, whether it's myself at the moment talking with my slideshow, or if it's Mike and I having a conversation, or we have somebody from the audience joins us, or we have a guest that joins us and we want a 2 up or 3 up. It allows us to lay out our screen. And it doesn't take any software of any consequence because it runs in the cloud. So I don't need any other software on my machine. I can just use the stuff I've got. I love it. And now, because it's in the cloud, they're adding new features to it, which they were concerned about adding when it was running on people's PCs. Because obviously when it's running on your PC, it's taking up power. It would have been the problem that I had 5 years ago when I first did a production on Zoom during COVID for Toastmasters International. Now we can have videos. So I could have installed a video and had that available, and then Mike could play that video at the appropriate time. We can also do screen images. This is fantastic and really powerful. And it just opens the whole world up to more people. Simple as that. What's my next slide? Zoom import export, but not as you know it. Because what I'm talking about here is importing, exporting content while it's running. Now, we had a bit of a stressy situation this evening. I'm still not confident streaming to YouTube. The good news is there's lots of different ways to do it. The bad news is they all work in a different way. So getting that streaming is tricky. But when it works, it's amazing because we can stream to YouTube. In fact, if we were feeling really exciting, we could have streamed to YouTube and we could have streamed to Facebook and maybe LinkedIn Live. I don't know. We can stream to lots of places because we can stream direct to those. Well, we can't stream to LinkedIn Live through Zoom at the moment, but we can stream to Facebook. We can stream to Zoom to YouTube. And that works really well. Or we can stream to another gateway provider, and then they can take the stream and they can send it off in different directions as well. Oh, you say, that's been around for ages, John. That's not 2025. Well, it is, you see, because Production Studio is the first tool we have that what we have on screen for us and our participants and our audience in the Zoom event goes out exactly the same as it looks to you. Whereas before Production Studio came to this fantastic level, we could quite often have content that we were streaming in our event, which would not look the same when it was sent out to YouTube. Thanks to Production Studio, that problem's now gone away. But we've gone further because now you could run let's think of an imaginative. Oh, yes, we could be having a Zoom meeting in which we put all our senior executives And when we could get their meeting to stream into our event, so they look like they're in a VIP room, and we can bring their meeting then into this webinar as if it was a separate guest and deal with them as a group and have great fun in that direction. So we can import and export RTMP. And then we have Mike's favorite toy, RTMS, real-time media streams, which means you can stream live content into another tool, but not just the video and the audio, but also the transcript data. And companies have already been taking that information and using it to generate content or interpret content on the fly while the meeting is still running. And this is the most exciting thing for me, is the fact that we, how long ago was it? Maybe only a year ago, I would create an event and I would work really, really, really hard to make that event really, really, really good for the audience. But I wouldn't give that to an external system. I would produce it. I would get it into a video editor and I'd have to play around with it to make it look really good before I sent the recording out to people. All these tools that we've got this year means that we don't have to do that. We don't have the stress of having to reproduce it all again. We don't have the time of having to do all the work, and we don't have the delay to our audience of not being able to put it out there. The tools are so good now, we can do all of this in real time. Okay, it stresses me and it stresses Mike because we just got to get everything right on the night, but it is such a more powerful tool because it's giving me back time. And it doesn't matter how clever AI is or Zoom is, time is the one thing you can't regenerate. So you've got to make the most of it. I love it. Sorry, I'm a bit gushing, but it is Christmas. Of course, once your event is over, the other thing I like is the way that Zoom AI takes all the content you have and makes it content you can use in the future. Have you noticed that when you start a Zoom meeting, you can tell Zoom what sort of meeting it's going to be? So when it creates the transcript of the meeting, it knows what the focus is. Now that may seem like a little thing, but that is a big jump in AI just assuming and trying to make sense, and AI knowing what the focus of your meeting is and making sense. And you can do the same in Zoom events. When you finished a webinar, you can click on the AI button at the top and it will ask you what type of transcript would you, summary of the transcript is content you want. And it creates all of that. The analytics are, well, they're really good. I mean, they are really good. But what's really good about the analytics is two other things that it does. So first of all, we've got the analytics out of the box, which are brilliant. Josh, thank you. They are really good. But there's two other things that they have, which are really good for me, thinking about 2026. Yes, I feel a plug coming on. Firstly, you can analyze the data and then send it into CRMs. Whatever your CRM is, you can load the data in. And myself, and I know a lot of other developers working in the developers marketplace for Zoom, are creating apps to take information across and put into there. Of course, we've got our wonderful friends at Recall.ai who have already been doing this to a degree, taking data and sending it out so that the recordings can be used elsewhere. That is fantastic. But we can even do better than that. I've been playing on this little computer here, and since my hand raise app, I now have an app which will take all the data, all the interactions from the audience. So it will know how many times Giles has made comments in the chat. It would also tell how many times anyone has raised their hand or used any of the other emojis. By the way, I haven't seen any. But never mind. They probably didn't know they're being watched. The analytics data that you can get out of Zoom is really powerful. And here's the why. And here's a real difference between Zoom, real events, and the dark side, pre-recorded robots talking to you. And it's not a simple idea. And yet it is. The simple version of the idea is, if you run a webinar, no, let's make it simpler than that. If I was running a presentation in a real room with real humans in front of me, I would know whether they are awake or asleep because I will be able to see that they were awake or asleep. If I asked a rhetorical question, I would know if they agreed with me because they would probably nod. If they didn't nod, they're obviously not that engaged. Zoom's given us lots of tools, lots of interaction tools. We've got polls, we've got chat, we've got reactions. All of those things with a little bit of warming up of the audience, which I didn't do here. So audience, I am apologetic for that. But thank you for your happy Christmas, Charles. They would be able to react to all those things, which means I believe that I can get more reactions out of an audience who are online in a webinar than I can an audience sitting in front of me while I'm on a stage. What's more importantly, all of that is electronic data, which can be stored and then used later on. The only way that you'd be able to do that in a real physical world would be to have a camera above me and your entire support team with notepads watching the audience and making ticks and crosses on bits of paper for who was most engaged and who wasn't, and who nodded at that point and who didn't. Which is why I honestly believe that you can now convert people better on webinars, because you can involve them in the whole experience and get back out of them the information they want. And this is why I think 2026 is going to be fantastic. Of course, the dark side is you give the whole job to a bot. Okay, you can make a bot more attractive than me, but can you make a bot create a more engaging environment? Would it know what questions to ask, where to ask, why to ask? Would it be able to use intonation correctly to get them interested? I don't think so. And then, of course, we've got to name drop a few pieces of software. vMix, which I use a lot. VizRT, which has done lots of things, and I think I've spelled its name wrong, but never mind. Ecamm, Mimo Live, Switcher Studio, OBS, just to name a few. There are lots of software tools which allow you to play around with your own end, shall we say, and then deliver whatever you want to create, however beautiful you want it, as a feed into Zoom. So that becomes a person. And you can then create the experience that gets them engaged. And Samantha puts it really nicely. I wish I'd seen this before. People are more fearless behind a screen, so being able to analyze the engagement sounds brilliant. Samantha, I think that is a fantastic comment, and I'm afraid I'm going to steal that because you are right. People may, in a physical audience, not want to jump up and down and get engaged if it's supposed to be a professional presentation environment. But if they're in the comfort of their own home and you've given them the reaction keys and maybe bribe them for the person that reacts the most gets a prize or something, you might do something like that. They are obviously going to be, they're going to be much more into adding things up. And look, I know some of my friends say very intelligent things, he said sarcastically, like, if you think that's a great idea, put a 1 in the chat. What can be more boring than putting a 1 in the chat? There are lots more exciting ways, I was going to say sexy, but more exciting ways to interact with your audience. And put a 1 in the chat if you think this, put a 2 in the chat. And they try to catch you out. You notice that? They try and catch you out by changing the numbers. That's so the slow people who haven't found where the 1 is won't be confused with the fast people that are answering the next question with the 2, I guess. Or maybe they're just worried about the keyboard wearing out. I don't know. I think reactions are far more powerful. And just when we played with the hand raised app, we saw what's possible there. It's a much more powerful way. And also, of course, the computer's not going to just remember who did what reaction. It's also going to remember when they did what reaction. And if you tie that up to your content and what you were saying at the time, frighteningly, you could almost get people to say, so what do you think of this product? Give me an answer and put a poll up, and frankly, just ask them, do you think you'd buy it? And I bet, as Samantha said, I bet people who were interested in buying it would say yes in a poll. But if you'd asked them face to face, they would have denied it, wouldn't they? Because they would think the next thing is, what's the 16 digits on your card number? We mustn't forget Zoom's own tools. Zoom ISO and Zoom OSC are still really useful. Please, Zoom, get off your backside and make a Windows version again. Products. So Zoom ISO allows you to bring video feeds in from another Zoom or the same Zoom meeting, webinar, etc. So it allows you to go to get Zoom ISO to join a meeting, a webinar, or whatever you want. It may be the same one you're in. It may be a different one. And get some video feeds from that and then put that into your streaming software. And then your streaming software can then add that to the meeting. Zoom OSC is far simpler. So Zoom, you've got no excuse to put a Windows version out again. And if you don't, I will. To build interaction. So what Zoom OSC can do is it can talk to the API at Zoom and get it to do things like raise hands, put hands down, bring people to the screen. The basic controls that you would like to use in Zoom can be controlled by Zoom OSC. Why would you want to do that? Well, because it's actually a pain, as you would find, the longer a meeting goes on, if you keep moving your mouse to click on all these various buttons. And if you can have something like a Stream Deck, can I move it without breaking, like a Stream Deck like this one, which I can wake up with some buttons? And you can program that Stream Deck to do actions when you have buttons. For instance, I can mute myself with one button. Bit of a silly thing to do, but that's because I have a mute button. And hopefully Mike was paying attention that time and didn't panic. So I apologize, Mike, if you just panicked. Those controls can do things, lots of things. And I'm not going to go into the detail, but I just want to get the point across that Zoom ISO and Zoom OSC allow us again to adapt the environment of our Zoom and make it more interesting, pull video feeds in, make them work. This product I have, vMix, can go and get streams from a Zoom meeting or event on its own, doesn't need Zoom ISO. Some of the other products we talked about also have their own way of doing the same thing. Some of them need Zoom OSC, some of them don't. Wonderful. Again, we're just making a more exciting world for ourselves. And then, of course, there's Zoom Graphics Toolkit, a product which shouldn't need to exist, but it's actually really difficult at the moment. Come on, Zoom. I can do it, by the way, but it's still difficult. And I'd like it to be easier to get Zoom chat and Zoom polls out of Zoom in a live meeting. But if you do that, and Graphics Toolkit does, and is that plug number 4? I've got a product that does that as well. But if you do that, you can then have chat coming up on the screen. Yes, we should have done that. We know. We will have Graphics Toolkit running for our events next year. But I could have brought that beautiful statement by Samantha up on the screen, or I could have got Mike to do it for me, as a little subtitle at the bottom to show the comment rather than me reading it off the chat out of my eye on the left-hand side here. You can also ask poll questions, and then you can use Graphics Toolkit to do nice little pie chart things to describe the votes and how they went. Again, what's this all about to me? It's about doing it all in real time rather than having the polls and then leaving it to the end of the meeting or even after the meeting. We can bring back those poll results and we can put them into the graphics and make the whole experience more exciting. And I know there are companies, not just me, but there are other companies that have worked on getting feedback out the chat. There are apps that can do what are they called? Word tables, where you can just ask the audience for comments. They put it in the chat, and then you pick up those words and you make those lovely pictures of words, graphs with vertical and horizontal words all popping up, and the ones that get repeated get bigger and all things like that. You can do all that as well. Brilliant. And a very unsung hero of Zoom, although I can't use it as much as I want because a lot of my recordings, screen recordings, are usually about Zoom, which means I need an external piece of software to record Zoom to send things out. But if you're not recording Zoom and you're just recording yourself or a presentation or you want to show something, Zoom Clips is fantastic. Zoom Clips is effectively just Zoom, but instead of being a meeting, it records the content then. So if you want to talk to the camera and you want to screen share as well, it can do it just like Zoom does, but you are creating a clip, a short video, which you can then use elsewhere. I put some Zoom clips on YouTube and the visitors blew up. I've got Zoom clips which have been up for a month and they're still getting hits because they're just Zoom shorts. They're just, YouTube shorts now. Zoom clips become YouTube shorts. Very easy to show people how to do stuff. Don't need an external piece of software to do it. Zoom clips can also go to another level because there are some AI features in Zoom clips. Now, I haven't used it because my foreign language is useless, but the idea that a CEO can do a speech in Zoom clips and then Zoom clips can then be set up to turn that into foreign language versions of the same presentation. That, if I was a corporate, that to me is gold. And again, they haven't got to learn a new tool or buy a new tool. And as the great Josh says, Clips is underappreciated. And that's a compliment from a Zoomie who's not even the product manager of that product, and he still thinks it's fantastic. What else could you say? If a product manager from one part of Zoom is blowing the trumpet of another part of Zoom. Thank you, Josh. Zoom Clips is a really powerful thing. And not to disappoint Josh, Zoom Clips can be imported into a Zoom meeting. But more importantly, you can play Zoom Clips during your Zoom event. It's another one of your armory that you can bring into an event to make things work better. Brilliant. I'm going to do a Zoom clip. I've got it on my Christmas to-do list. I want to do a Zoom clip where I apologize because things have gone wrong. And then if I ever fall off a tree or fall off my chair or have a problem, I can get Mike to play that clip of me apologizing that I've just broken things. Make sure I do that, Mike. It's on my Christmas list. Actually, it's on my to-do list in Zoom. Anyone notice all these extra apps in Zoom? There's a to-do list. And what's more, Mike's making a note of it on paper. This is an interesting idea. I just mention things in Zoom meetings. At the end of the Zoom meeting, Zoom tells me what I promised to do. I've made a New Year's resolution, by the way, to stop making so many promises on Zoom meetings because Zoom holds you to it. But Zoom Clips is a fantastic tool, and I can see it getting used more and more as people realize it's there. It's available. Just use it. The only problem you've got, and don't worry, corporates, not for you. But the only problem you've got if you've got a single pro license or some simple small account with Zoom is you need to keep an eye on the amount of space, because obviously Zoom Clips is going to take up space. So you might have to export it out of Zoom and put it somewhere else to use it. But it's still a fantastic tool. And it is one of my top tips for 2025. So what's my to-do list for 2026? Well, firstly, the easiest way to show you how wonderful these tools are is just to use them. That's why Mike and I started Lord Zoom Live in September, because a few people said to me, well, if it's so good, John, why aren't you using it? And I thought, well, I suppose the best way to tell you how wonderful it is to just demonstrate it. And honestly, I was skeptical. Not because of Zoom, but because of me. I was skeptical because the last time I created and delivered a lot of content en masse was 8 or 9 years ago, when I used to do training courses on how to use WordPress and how to market with WordPress websites. Don't worry, it's not on YouTube anymore. It's gone, thankfully. And those pieces of content would be 20 to 30 minutes long and would take me the entire week to create. Why? Well, firstly, I wasn't so confident in presenting. Secondly, the tools weren't as good. And thirdly, I would plan it and replan it and replan it and record it and re-record it and re-record it so many times before I was confident to send it out. Because the first people who criticized that content were other content creators who just wanted to knock you down. So you had this feeling that you had to be perfect every time. And of course you can't be. It takes lots of practice to be perfect. And therefore it was a ridiculous use of time. Lord Zoom Live? Okay, I've thought in my head 7 or 8 different versions, but I didn't actually put any electronic pen to electronic paper until 4 o'clock this afternoon. By 6 o'clock, I had an outline of what I wanted to do. These slides are what I wanted to do. There are some notes underneath, but actually I'm not even referring to them now. Mike will pop in 10 minutes, 20 minutes before just to see if I'm alive. All his content creation is to react and to anything I say and laugh in the corner. So I know that at least somebody thinks I'm funny. It's fantastic. He is using Production Studio for all the slides. But of course, today we've been going through a slideshow, so he hasn't really played around with the screen much at all today so far. Don't worry, we can make him busy in a minute. But all of that content, an hour show, we're producing in 2 or 3 hours preparation, and that's it. The tools are better. Okay, the presenters improved a little bit, but the tools are better. The expectation of the audience has changed as well, which helps to a degree. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say to you is it's actually really easy. If you know your product, if you know your subject, if you know what you're talking about, and you're just making things up for the sheer heck of it, it is very easy nowadays to take all these tools from Zoom and produce good quality looking content. And good quality content is what you need, because the dark side of Zoom is the threat from AI tools that will create pre-recorded video content about everything, and they will just flood the market because it takes no time and no effort to produce them. And the world will be flooded with mediocre content. It's already happening today. And it will happen more because some businesses will not want to invest, and they will just produce pre-recorded content with AI tools. But they will look so bad because we're already getting used to knowing when AI content was. We don't need 3 arms on a person to know when it's AI generated. I used AI generated content all the time in my systems as well. I mean, even this little trees and this little table here were created with AI, but they're not crucial or fundamental to the working of the system. I'm not going to trust AI with that level of expertise. Because frankly, as I said at the beginning, if AI understands to that level, you're not an expert. An expert has got to know more than the average person. And AI can never be more than the average person. However, and I leave hopefully the best till last. I don't know what the name of it is, but I call it contextual AI. The best AI that I produce is not a general GPT chat with whatever your chatbot is. The best AI I produce is when the AI is using content I have already created, produced, and talked about. Whether it's reading my website or I've given it a whole load of documents that I've created and it's loaded those into its memory and it's using that as its knowledge base. Or whether it's part of Zoom or integrated to Zoom, where it's taking my webinars, my presentations, and all my Zoom content transcripts and using that as its knowledge to give me answers to things. And that could be just as easy as, what did we decide about? Well, for instance, we just creating a new domain name for my Toastmasters club, and I couldn't remember what we decided. But it was fine because it was a Zoom meeting. So all I needed to do was ask Zoom, and Zoom went to the Zoom meeting and got the answer for me. Easy as that. Contextual AI is a really powerful tool, and that is what is going to win things in the future. The dark side over there, the dark side of AI, just using the general knowledge base, is never going to be as good. Thank you, Zoom, for the way you've embraced AI, because it's really powerful and I love it. And that is the final slide of my standard presentation. Let's see who's still around for some comments. Why, Mike, would you like to summarize this year or your ideas or views? And if anyone in the chat would like to, any participants here would like to join in.
Well, I just wanted to say from John and I, of course, happy holidays to everybody, and have a great 2026. The other comment that I'll make is that, yes, this background was actually made and generated by Zoom AI. This is a generated Christmas background. So I am purposely using that right now, even though I'm not the virtual background kind of guy. But this one was purposely done on purpose to show off Zoom's capabilities of being able to properly do that.
It does look good, actually. I'm very impressed with it. Very impressed indeed.
So there's what the actual full background looks like for everybody on YouTube, and of course here. And I just took that live on. So back to Johnny.
Well, I'd like to say that this is a Zoom jumper, but it's not. It's from a M&S store. For those that other stores are available, but none is good. Well, there is one better, but I'm not going to central London to buy one there. That would cost too much. I am really excited about 2026 because we've been trying out, testing, playing with a lot of stuff in this year. And it's been eye-opening how easy, honestly, that is probably my biggest takeaway for 2025, how easy a lot of this stuff actually is. There's a learning curve for everything. Yes, of course there is. But I've got a ridiculous amount of tech. And I've probably got 5 or 6 different ways to create the screen I've got here with a little foreground. Different combinations of tools that I've got could to do the same thing. But you don't need to invest in all this technology all the time. You still need a good microphone, because if people can't hear you, they're not going to be heard. Zoom is fantastic at getting background noise out, but I still believe, and I'm guessing as a production guy, Mike's probably going to agree with this statement. If you have a good quality original audio, it is much better than being in a, okay, we can't accept, we have to accept it now and again, but if you can not be in a busy place with lots of background noise. I actually have a lot of fan noise coming from my PC because this PC is a top of the range, but I've got the fan on full blast all the time because I tend to throw lots of programs at it. That's not going to be heard because I've got a good quality microphone. It's up by my gob and it's going to hopefully create great audio for me. I've got a reasonably good camera here. It's not a simple webcam. It's a little slightly better, more professional. It's got 4K capabilities, but I'm not producing 4K. It's okay close up. It would probably look rubbish if I went a long way away. It hasn't got the quality of the zoom and the quality of the glass to pick somebody up from long distance, like some of the professional cameras that Mike has, for instance. However, it still has given me a good environment. I've got good lighting, although actually my lighting consists of one great big long fluorescent tube, but it does the same thing as a professional light because it gives me a wide set of light. It's not a point light, and I've got lots of white walls around me in a very small space. So the light is bouncing around everywhere, and it lights me up well. Again, giving good lighting gives a good image to the camera, so the camera can then produce a good image. So I've got the 3 main things that I always say you would need to look good. But none of them are really, really expensive. They are just better than, a 30, 40 pound product from, whatever your favorite online site is. You need some basic professional quality to get your whole production going. And then you can do all these wonderful things with it. But again, if you've got production studio, you're doing webinars, you don't necessarily need all these extra pieces of hardware and software that I have. There's only the 3 of us today. It's Mike, myself, and a shared screen. But I've got 3 computers on this desk. We could have switched to any of those. We could mix any of those in. I've got my 2 Apples, my studio and my Mini in my other studio up top. And I've got multiple cameras up there. We could have gone to those and switched between cameras and things. And we could have had fun with that tech as well. But you don't need it. If you want to produce some content quickly, you can zip up a simple screen or a green screen like I've got now. You can get Zoom clips and your content can you can produce 3 minutes of content in 5 minutes. It's really easy to do. And then you can take the transcripts of that content and use it elsewhere. You can create content and then reuse parts of the content in your social media, in your re-recordings as snippets. It is a really powerful world we live in now, and it is so easy to do. And if you are feeling a little bit lazy, yes, there are various AI tools you can subscribe to which can do some of those jobs for you. But please make sure the original content is original to you. You can ask AI to help you with your script, but don't only talk about what the AI told you. You've got to have your own expertise. If you don't, you will be drowned out by all the mediocre dark side AI productions that will happen next year. The good news is, of course, if all of those people are producing mediocre content, then it's not going to take too much effort to be above them and to produce great content. and to be seen and appreciated as such.
John, I just wanted to make a quick comment too. When you're talking about rubbish, basically in the production world, we call it rubbish in, rubbish out. So if you're putting rubbish into Zoom, Zoom is only going to repeat the rubbish.
Yeah. And if you put rubbish
It is
into
as
AI,
simple as that.
yeah. Yeah, rubbish into AI, you get even more rubbish out. And that's even worse because you put rubbish into AI, it goes, oh, yes, you're so clever at saying that. Let's give you some more rubbish around the same subject. And of course, it doesn't even know if you're wrong. So if you want some fun over Christmas, ask AI a fact that is wrong. And you'll be amazed, because I tried it this afternoon, you'll be amazed how many times it just agrees with you. Okay, if you say 1 and 1 is 3, it's not so good. But if you give it like a sentence or something, you can pretty much get it to agree with you. It's really quite frightening. I think some of our attendees are not sure what parallel universe they're in, Mike. Can you explain how we are set up tonight?
Sure. So basically, some of our normal attendees that are quite familiar with John and I might not realize that we're in actually webinar mode, or more specifically, Webinar Plus, because we're using Production Studio. So we're in Webinar Plus. So right now, of course, the attendees right now are not panelists until we promote them. And I will leave that up to John if we're going down that dangerous slope for the show or not. But in that case, so I'm running Production Studio for the most part in the background, and I've been also chatting with people on YouTube as well as chatting with people locally here attending in the webinar. So I've been a busy boy in the background. That is the basics of it. There is a little more complicated stuff than that. Of course, John is also using vMix on his end. I'm also using an ATEM on my end, so that I could easily switch from this to, you know, having a background around me, so that all of a sudden now you actually see the video in behind me. And this is a fairly regular setup that I usually have, depending on my meetings or such. And of course, I made it festive for our show today. But again, that is the basics of it, that you could, as long as you don't have, as I was saying, rubbish in going into Zoom from video and audio, making sure that you've taken the time to make sure that your room looks good, your background looks good, your lighting looks good, your audio sounds the best that you can get it to set at. Make sure your video looks really good. You're in focus, you're not out of focus, your camera isn't jumping around all the time, making sure that all these important, what we use in the production world, should now trickle down to the Zoom world as well. It doesn't matter if you're a pro using Zoom or an amateur. You should still be, because again, the professionalism of using Zoom, no matter if you're doing it for any type of event, from all the way from just a regular Zoom meeting, all the way up to a multi-webinar, multi-meeting event using, as we call it, Josh's system, which of course we joke around about that, which of course is the Zoom events platform. We will, you know, that's, again, there's all the different levels, but again, rubbish in, using our infamous UK word, rubbish in will always give you rubbish out. So make sure that the rubbish in on your, whatever you're using, PC, Mac, Linux machine, et cetera, is good, at least good enough that you look professional enough to answer that next Zoom meeting call.
Exactly. And I was keeping so still then, I thought my screen had frozen. There we are. I caught myself out. That makes a change. Because usually I go...
Yeah, and you're about to catch me too, for that matter. You're staring so attentively at me. That was very good, John. Thank you.
Yeah, this is... I honestly believe this is a fantastic environment to do presentations and content. This idea of, we've got the Zoom events platform, so we can produce really good content, which will have a good shelf life depending on the information we put in, but otherwise it's got a good shelf life. It's going to be watched again and again. I can take parts of it out, content, and make use of it. We can have an invited audience, which we do have, who have been interacting with us, well, specifically through Mike, but have been reacting with the chat. So they are like our VIPs. And then we have a version of it which is going straight out to YouTube, which is also useful because it means I don't have to worry about doing the production to YouTube. It's there already. I might cut off the beginning and the end, maybe, but it's all there. And it's a very easy environment to work in. And again, as Mike said, if you have a few tools at your desktop level to make your bit of your presentation better or worse, whatever, then you can do that. I was doing some content yesterday. Yeah, I was doing some content yesterday, and I was using 2 laptops. But those 2 laptops were created to connect through a ATEM, through a video switcher. But I could have had those 2 laptops attending the same meeting and just gone to them as if they were 3 different people and flipped between them. I was doing some comparisons, of course, between Zoom 6.7 and the old version, which turned out to be an absolute anticlimax. I was looking forward to somebody complaining, but it just looks nice. Just looks nice. So I think 2025 has been a fantastic year. I've loved it. I've loved what Zoom has done. I've loved how the world has progressed. I'm humbly thankful for Mike for joining me in this journey, and for my other Zoomy friends in Zoom, in the Zoom community, the Zoom developer community, Zoom Test Kitchen. Thank you all for a fantastic year. It's been really exciting, and I can't wait now. Well, I can, because I've got some eating and drinking to do. I can almost wait just about for 2026, because when we start putting all these things we've learned, we've had a time to think about it over the break and plan how to do it all again next year, much more organized. Because although we've tried to innovate in September, October, November, December, it is hard to do that when you've got the constant flow of other things coming along. I've got now time to contemplate, and I looked forward to contemplating, but I hope that while I was contemplating, there might be some other amazing comment coming in the chat, but I haven't noticed anything, Mike. Are there anything there I've missed?
No, I believe we caught up with everything. I think the only thing that was Samantha's comment about you're talking about the contextual AI.
Yes. AI is, how do I answer Samantha's question? Yes. So there's 2 versions of AI now, really. There is the AI from the general GPT, like Chat GPT, and the general things where they are going out and they are consuming content, and they are constantly trying to find new content to consume. I mean, maybe they'll try and consume this video. I don't know. If they get onto YouTube, they might try and consume the transcript, but they are constantly trying to consume content so that they have a general chat product. And that's all well and good. But what I'm concerned about, what I worry about on the dark side of it, is too many people are depending on that general chat product for answers. Even people asking it medical questions. And it's not clever enough. It will never be clever enough to do that. What's happening, I've seen in the corporate world and in a lot of other people, as well as the corporate world, is that they are taking the content that they have, the knowledge that they have in content, the documents and the transcripts of the knowledge they have in their organizations, and they are building knowledge bases for themselves based on their knowledge. I've also seen some marketing people who have taken knowledge processes and things, and they have made them available to their customers, because maybe they have a way of writing a Facebook post. So they have a set of questions that they ask themselves when they write a Facebook post. And they've taught that to their GPT. And they are then giving that out to employees or even to their customers. So their customers can then use that GPT to be prompted to be asked certain questions. And then the GPT is trained, told, or whatever you want, given within the instructions about what it should do with that information and how it should produce that information. And that gives that person, in that example, a much more powerful and well produced Facebook post than if you just go to ChatGPT generally and say, I want to write a Facebook post about my product. Because unless it has all contextual knowledge about you, it's asked the questions, unless it has a formal process that you've defined on how it then takes that information and makes it work, it's just using the general model. And the dark side is dying in the general model. If you're going to use AI, you need to train your AI with your own data so that it is better than the general model. And it will then produce better content than the general model, and you will be better than the average mundane text. And that's what I consider to be contextual AI. And what I love about Zoom is that Zoom is finding as many ways as possible that we can take the information that we produce in webinars and meetings and presentations and use that as data, which we can then contextually use in our AIs to make better content. And I think that will happen more next year. I'm right, more bad side and more good side. And people will gradually see the difference between a GPT that's just learned by reading the internet and a GPT that was trained by experts in that particular field. And so I think we've come to the end of everything, Mike, haven't we? We've got some lovely happy holidays and a happy Christmas from lots of people here. Josh, Muddy, I'm Giles, Samantha must have, because Samantha's put some lovely content in, so I'm sure she said something nice to me in there somewhere. A guy called Mike, a guy called Mike. Have we got any guys called Mike around here? All he put was a laughing emoji. So that was good. Who else haven't we made? I'm sure there's people on YouTube as well. Merry whatever you gonna celebrate to you guys on YouTube. I see there's a few YouTube people that have been here as well. That's fantastic. And if you are, as they say, if you're watching the recording, please put a comment in as well. We'd love to hear from you, even if you're not watching this live, because not everybody's available at 3 p.m. Eastern time on a Tuesday. That's fine. I understand that. And certainly not available at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday evening either. But otherwise, happy holidays to everybody. Have a lovely time. Keep safe. Keep Zooming. Yeah, use that Zoom for saying hello to Nan and everybody else. Have a lovely time. And we will be back bigger, brighter in the new year. I am creating some training. Final plug. I'm creating some training content for you on how to use these products that we've been playing with in the last 3 months, as there doesn't seem to be very much training content. So we will add that to the YouTube channel. I am going to commit myself, starting in the new year, to adding even more content on a more regular basis to the YouTube channel. Quite a few of the presentations we've done, frankly, haven't made it to YouTube, but now we're running them live. We're pretty much nailing our flag to that mast that we will go there. I have nothing more to say. I'm trying not to start spouting carols, which is usually what my brain wants to do this time of the year after 15 years in a church choir, but I will resist it for now until I've come off this meeting. Thankful for you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Thank you, Mike. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to all our friends. And I'm
Yeah.
so
Merry
looking
Christmas to you,
forward
John. Merry Christmas to the live Zoom, Lord Zoom Live community, and we'll see you in 2026.
Indeed. And yes, I told you off about this, and I didn't create a Christmas version of Lord Zoom Live either. That's a trick we'll miss for next year. Maybe I'll post it up later. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Every week we open wide the virtual stage where ideas spark and wisdom fills the page. From the UK to the land of maple trees, John and Mike bring clarity with ease. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine your message, taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine your message, taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. Thank you for joining us, we're glad you're here. Together we grow, it's loud and clear. On Zoom we connect, we learn, we grow. Welcome my friend, enjoy the show. From big events to breakout rooms with flair, we've got the tools and we're ready to share. Guest experts drop in, bringing gold each time, with insights and tricks to help you climb. Can't make it live? We've got you still on YouTube and LinkedIn. We're giving that thrill, so tune in later or catch us next round. Either way, your success is where we're bound. Thank you for joining us, we're glad you're here. Together we grow, it's loud and clear. On Zoom we connect, we learn, we glow. Welcome my friend, enjoy the show. And make it live, we've got you still. On YouTube and LinkedIn, we're giving that thrill. So tune in later or catch us next round. Either way, your success is where we're bound. Now take the spotlight, the stage is yours. Bring your message through virtual doors. Each week we gather, and now you know you're not alone, so let it flow. Thank you for joining us, now go and shine. Share what you've learned, your voice, your time. With Lord Zoom Live, your power will grow. It's time to build your own show.
Happy holidays.